The Galactic Senate chamber buzzed with tension as Commander Delax stood at the center, his obsidian uniform gleaming under the harsh light of the central dais. The air carried the weight of despair, the unspoken truth that the Xylar Horde had pushed the Empire to its breaking point. Thalax's voice, sharp and commanding, silenced the restless murmur of alien delegates. "We have tried everything," he began, his crimson eyes sweeping over the assembled representatives of the Galactic Empire's countless species. "Our finest warriors have fallen. Our strongest fleets have burned. The Xylar Horde is not just an enemy. It is an extinction event." He paused, letting the gravity of his words settle like a lead weight. "We need soldiers who are more than elite. Soldiers who will fight with a ferocity this galaxy has never seen. If no one among us will volunteer, we must look to the one species we have long underestimated: humanity." The chamber erupted into chaos. Alien voices, deep and guttural, high-pitched and hissing, overlapped in a cacophony of protest. Delax raised a gloved hand and silence fell again, though resentment simmered beneath it. "Earth's humans are primitive," he admitted, "but their history is one of relentless survival. Wars that shaped continents. A drive for conquest that rivals even the Xylar. If anyone can hold the deadliest position in the galaxy, it's them." Across the cosmos on Earth, Admiral Bryce Carter stood on the tarmac of a naval base, the midnight sky stretching endlessly above him. A faint hum grew louder as a galactic courier ship descended, its sleek, silver hull reflecting the base's floodlights. Carter, a man whose broad shoulders and steel-gray hair spoke of decades of service, kept his expression neutral as the ramp lowered and a towering holographic figure of Delax materialized. "Admiral Carter," Delax said, his voice smooth yet carrying an edge. "You have been briefed on the situation. The Empire's survival hinges on Earth's cooperation." Bryce nodded, jaw tight. "You're asking us to send our best into what's essentially a suicide mission." "No," Delax replied, his tone unyielding. "I'm asking for warriors who value victory over survival. Do you have such men?" Bryce's gaze hardened. "We do. But if you think humanity will just roll over and bleed for your empire, you don't know us." A thin smile tugged at the corner of Thalax's mouth. "Good. Then you'll understand why we chose you." Within hours, Colonel Ryan Keller, the commanding officer of the Navy SEALs, received the transmission. Keller, a tall man with a no-nonsense demeanor and a scar running from his temple to his jawline, gathered his team in the darkened confines of a briefing room. The men, all hardened warriors, sat in silence as the holographic image of the Lax played on the screen, detailing the Xylar threat. "They're offering us a chance to prove that humans are the deadliest warriors in the galaxy," Keller said once the transmission ended. "The position comes with a 97% casualty rate. Volunteers only." The room remained quiet for a moment, the weight of the offer hanging heavy. Then Lieutenant Jake Viper Cross leaned forward, a faint smirk playing on his lips. "Sounds like they're desperate enough to call us," added Sergeant Eric Ghost Hayes, his voice calm, almost detached. He was a team sniper, known for his unnerving precision and even more unnerving silence. Mark Boomer Davis, the team's explosives expert, let out a low whistle. "Aliens can't handle their own war, so they come crawling to the humans." "Figures." Keller's gaze swept over the men. "This isn't a decision to take lightly. You'll be fighting creatures unlike anything you've ever faced. No backup. No escape plans." Viper stood, his smirk gone, replaced by a steely resolve. "Sir, with all due respect, this is what we do. They want warriors. They'll get warriors." One by one, the men nodded. Ghost simply inclined his head, his expression unreadable. Boomer grinned. "Hell, I've always wanted to blow up some aliens." The last to speak was Corporal Ryan Iron Lewis, the team's close-quarters combat specialist. His deep voice carried an unshakable certainty. "If this galaxy needs saving, we'll be the ones to do it." The next morning, the team stood on the same tarmac where Bryce had met the Galactic courier. The air was crisp, the horizon tinged with the pale light of dawn. Keller approached them, his face set in a grim mask. "This isn't just a mission," he said. "This is humanity's chance to prove we belong on the galactic stage. You'll be representing Earth out there. Make them remember who we are." Viper stepped forward, saluting sharply. "We won't let you down, sir." As the galactic ship's ramp lowered, revealing its sleek, alien interior, Bryce approached Keller. "You think they'll make it back?" Keller's jaw tightened. "If anyone can, it's them." The SEALs boarded the ship, their boots echoing on the metallic floor. The ramp closed behind them, sealing them off from Earth, perhaps for the last time. As the ship ascended, breaking through the atmosphere and into the boundless void of space, Viper glanced at his team. "This is it, boys. Let's show them what humans are made of." The ship hummed as it entered hyperspace, the stars stretching into lines of light. For a moment, silence filled the cabin, the weight of the mission pressing down on them. But within that silence was a shared determination, a bond forged through countless battles and unshakable trust. Though they were heading into the unknown, one thing was certain: humanity would not be underestimated again. The Galactic Empire's flagship, Eternal Dominion, loomed in the void like a monolith of steel and fury. As the Navy SEALs disembarked from the transport ship, they stepped into an alien world of blinding light, strange sounds, and the heavy thrum of energy coursing through the vessel's massive corridors. Sleek, insectoid drones skittered along the walls, maintaining the ship's advanced systems, while towering alien soldiers with plated armor stood sentinel at every junction. The humans, in their matte black gear, looked like shadows against the Empire's grandeur. Lieutenant Jake Viper led his team through the labyrinthine hallways, his sharp green eyes scanning every detail. The atmosphere was tense, a blend of unease and anticipation. Alien officers, some with scales, others with translucent skin or bioluminescent features, turned to stare. Their disdain was palpable, the low murmurs of alien languages carrying the same sentiment. Humans don't belong here. Commander Delax awaited them in the war room, a vast circular chamber where a holographic projection of the galaxy dominated the space. His crimson eyes flicked over the SEALs with an expression that bordered on curiosity and skepticism. "You will forgive the cold welcome," he said, his deep voice reverberating. "The galaxy is unfamiliar with your kind's reputation. But I have read your dossiers. I understand why Earth has sent you." "Then you know we don't disappoint," Viper replied, his tone sharp but measured. Delax arched a dark brow, his lips curving into a faint smirk. "We shall see." A section of the hologram shifted, zooming in on a fractured star system. "Your first mission," Delax continued, "is to infiltrate a Xyler-controlled outpost on the planet Revose. It houses a communications relay critical to their operations. Destroy it, and you'll cripple their fleet coordination in this sector." He gestured to the menacing hologram of the Xyler species, a monstrous blend of insect and machine, with serrated limbs and glowing, multifaceted eyes. "You'll face these ugly bastards," muttered Mark Boomer Davis under his breath, earning a warning glance from Viper. "Your transport departs in 1 hour," Delax said, ignoring the comment. "Prove yourselves humans, or die trying." An hour later, the SEALs were aboard a sleek Imperial stealth craft, descending through the turbulent atmosphere of Revose. The planet was a wasteland of jagged rock formations and sulfuric skies, with flashes of distant lightning illuminating the terrain. The mission brief had been clear. The Xyler were relentless, efficient killers. They didn't retreat, didn't negotiate. The SEALs had faced deadly foes before, but this was different. This enemy was designed to eradicate. As the craft skimmed the surface, Viper activated his comms. "Ghost, you've got Overwatch. Find us a vantage point." "On it," Eric Ghosthayes replied, his voice a low monotone. The sniper's sharp gray eyes scanned the terrain through his scope. 2 clicks northeast. Ridge line looks good. The team disembarked silently, their movements fluid and rehearsed. Ghost broke off, scaling the ridge with predator-like grace, while the others advanced toward the Xylar outpost. The alien structure loomed in the distance, a spire of black metal bristling with antennae and pulsating with an eerie blue light. Eyes on the target, Ghost reported from his position. Guards posted on all levels. 5 patrols, 3 sentries. And something big inside. Define big, Viper asked. Heat signatures off the charts. Too blurry to confirm. Viper exchanged a glance with Boomer, who patted the satchel of explosives slung over his shoulder. Big just means it goes boom louder. Stick to the plan, Viper said, his voice firm. Boomer, plant charges on the relay. Iron, cover his 6. Ghost, keep their heads down. Let's move. As they approached the outpost, the first Xylar patrol came into view. The creatures were massive, their segmented bodies glinting like armor in the dim light. Their movements were unnervingly smooth, their clawed limbs clicking softly against the rocky ground. Viper signaled for silence, and the team melted into the shadows. Ghost fired the first shot. The high-pitched crack of his rifle echoed briefly before the lead Xylar collapsed, its head shattered. The other patrol members twitched, their glowing eyes flickering in confusion before the SEAL sprang into action. Iron surged forward, a blur of brute strength, driving his blade into a Xylar's thorax. Boomer lobbed a grenade into the remaining cluster, the explosion tearing through their metallic shells with a deafening roar. The team pressed on, navigating the perimeter with surgical precision. Viper's voice came over the comms. Boomer, get inside. Ghost, watch for reinforcements. The interior of the outpost was a maze of dark corridors lit by the faint, pulsing glow of alien technology. Boomer worked quickly, placing charges on the massive relay that dominated the central chamber. Iron stood guard, his massive frame poised to strike at the first sign of trouble. Charges set, Boomer whispered, wiping sweat from his brow. We've got 5 minutes to. The floor trembled beneath them, followed by an unearthly screech that reverberated through the structure. What the hell was that? Boomer asked, his voice rising. Viper's response was immediate. Move. Now. The Xylar had found them. The corridors erupted with movement as the creatures poured in, their screeches deafening. Ghost picked off targets from his perch, his calm precision contrasting the chaos below. Iron held the line, his close-quarters training turning the confined space into a killing field. Boomer sprinted ahead, covering their retreat as explosions rocked the outpost. Viper, Ghost's voice crackled over the comms. We've got a problem. That big heat signature? It's moving toward you. The team burst out of the structure just as the charges detonated, the relay collapsing in a blinding inferno. But the victory was short-lived. From the flames emerged a towering Xylar, its body reinforced with heavy plating, its limbs ending in serrated blades that gleamed in the firelight. Its multifaceted eyes locked onto the SEALs, emitting a piercing mechanical shriek. Fall back, Viper shouted, firing his rifle at the creature. The bullets ricocheted harmlessly off its armor. Ghost, any weak spots? Back of the head between the plates, Ghost replied, lining up his shot. But I need a clear view. Keep it busy, Viper ordered. He and Iron engaged the creature, their movements precise but desperate. Boomer circled around, trying to set up another explosive, but the Xylar moved with terrifying speed, swiping at him and forcing him back. Ghost now! Viper yelled. The shot rang out. The Xylar staggered, its movements jerky, before collapsing in a heap. The team didn't wait to celebrate. They sprinted to the extraction point, the distant roar of approaching Xylar reinforcements spurring them on. As the stealth craft ascended, carrying them away from the burning outpost, Viper looked at his team. Exhausted but alive, they sat in silence, the weight of the mission settling in. That was just the beginning, Viper said, breaking the quiet. We've got a long way to go. And for the first time, the SEALs realized the true scale of what they had signed up for. The vast expanse of space stretched infinitely, broken only by the faint glimmers of distant stars. The Eternal Dominion hung like a fortress, its shadow swallowing light as the SEALs debriefed in the dimly lit war room. Tension crackled in the air. The mission on Revos had been a success, but the scars it left were raw. Commander Delax observed the humans from across the room, his crimson eyes narrowing as he read their expressions. "You performed adequately," he said, his voice measured, though the word dripped with restrained condescension. "But the Xylar are relentless. They will adapt. Your next assignment will push you beyond what even you consider possible." Viper stood at the head of his team, arms crossed. "What's the target?" Delax extended a hand, summoning a projection of the Xylar Hive Nexus, a structure carved into the core of a dying star. The hologram pulsated, alive with movement as swarms of Xylar drones flitted around it. "The Nexus is their command center," Delax explained. "Destroy it, and you sever their hive mind. They will fall into disarray, but it is impenetrable by conventional means. The radiation alone will kill most species within minutes." "And you're asking us to go in any way," Ghost said flatly, his gray eyes unblinking. Thalax's lips twitched into a thin smile. "Precisely. You will infiltrate through their maintenance ducts, plant charges at key structural points, and detonate. You will have 10 minutes to escape before the Nexus collapses into the star." He stepped closer, looming over Viper. "Do this, and humanity's place in the galaxy will be secured. Fail, and the Xylar will consume us all." The room fell silent as the team absorbed the enormity of the mission. Boomer leaned back in his chair, letting out a low whistle. "So we're just walking into a sun and hoping for the best?" "More or less," Iron replied, his voice calm but tinged with grim acceptance. Viper's gaze swept over his team. They had faced impossible odds before, but this was something else entirely. Yet in their eyes, he saw the same resolve that had carried them through every mission. "We've got one shot at this," he said. "If we're doing it, we do it right." The approach to the Nexus was a harrowing gauntlet. The stealth craft weaved through dense fields of debris and patrolling Xylar swarms. Its cloaking systems pushed to their limits. The dying star loomed ahead, its searing light casting long shadows across the SEALs' faces. Even within the ship, the oppressive heat seeped through the hull. "Final comms check," Viper said, his voice steady despite the tension. "Everyone good?" "All clear," Ghost replied, adjusting his rifle. "Charges are ready," Boomer added, patting his satchel. "Let's make it count," Iron said, his deep voice resolute. The craft docked at a hidden access point, and the team slipped inside the Nexus. The maintenance ducts were narrow and suffocating, the air thick with the metallic tang of alien machinery. The walls hummed with energy, a constant reminder of the star's proximity. Every movement was calculated, every step deliberate. One mistake would mean death. Ghost took point, his sniper instincts making him the natural scout. He froze suddenly, holding up a fist. The team halted, weapons at the ready. Ahead, a Xylar drone moved methodically, its segmented body casting jagged shadows on the walls. Ghost raised his rifle, exhaled slowly, and fired. The drone collapsed in a spray of sparks. "Move," Viper whispered, and they pressed forward. The Nexus's core was a labyrinth of alien technology, its pathways glowing with energy conduits that pulsed like veins. The heat was almost unbearable now, sweat dripping from their faces as they worked. Boomer crouched beside the first structural column, his fingers flying over the detonator controls. "One charge set," he said, standing. 3 to go. The team moved deeper into the Nexus, the tension mounting with every step. The Xylar were aware of their presence now. Skittering sounds echoed through the corridors, growing louder. Ghost dropped 2 more drones, his shots precise, but the enemy numbers were increasing. "Faster," Viper urged. "We're running out of time." By the time they planted the final charge, the Nexus was alive with activity. Drones poured in from every direction, their screeches echoing like a maddening chorus. Iron took the lead, his combat knife flashing, as he tore through the creatures in brutal, close-quarters combat. Boomer fired grenades down the hallways, the explosions buying precious seconds. "Charge is armed," Boomer panted, wiping soot from his face. "Timer set for 10 minutes. We've got to move." They sprinted toward the extraction point, but the Xyler were relentless. A massive drone, twice the size of the others, blocked their path, its bladed limbs gleaming. Viper barked orders, coordinating the attack. Ghost aimed for the creature's joints while Iron charged head-on, drawing its attention. Boomer threw his last grenade, the explosion staggering the drone just long enough for Viper to fire a burst into its exposed core. It collapsed with a shriek, but the delay had cost them precious time. The corridors trembled as the Nexus began to destabilize. Conduits burst, spewing energy in violent arcs. The heat was unbearable now, the air shimmering with waves of radiation. The SEALs pushed through, their bodies screaming in protest, but their determination unyielding. 2 minutes, Viper shouted as they reached the docking bay. The stealth craft waited, its engines already roaring to life. They boarded in a flurry of movement, Boomer slamming the hatch shut as Ghost took the co-pilot's seat. "Get us out of here," Viper yelled. The craft shot away from the Nexus, the dying star's light engulfing the viewport. Behind them, the charges detonated. The Nexus imploded, a brilliant cascade of energy ripping through the structure before the star consumed it entirely. The shock waves slammed into the craft, sending it spiraling. Ghost wrestled with the controls, his jaw clenched, and finally stabilized the ship. Silence filled the cabin as the SEALs caught their breath. The destruction of the Nexus was visible in the distance, a collapsing inferno that marked the Xyler's defeat. For the first time, the galaxy felt quiet. Thalax's voice crackled over the comms. "Mission success. Return to the Eternal Dominion for debriefing." Viper leaned back, exhaustion etched into his face. He looked at his team, battered but alive, and nodded. "We did it." Boomer let out a shaky laugh. "Saved the galaxy before breakfast." "Not bad." Iron's expression remained stoic, but there was a glint of satisfaction in his eyes. Ghost simply exhaled, his calm demeanor never wavering. As the craft sailed through the void, heading back to the Empire's flagship, Viper allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. They were soldiers, yes, but now they were more than that. They were the reason humanity would no longer be dismissed, no longer underestimated. The galaxy would remember them.